So Jubilee did another one of their one person versus like 20 others kind of videos. I watched it through. I found this clip really interesting, so I wanted to give a response to it. So let's just go ahead and watch.
A perfect being doesn't change. A perfect being, if they're maximally good, maximally moral.
Does our understanding of the perfect being change?
Our understanding might, but
Okay,
presumably
how do we
what the
distinguish-
perfect
So,
being is.
real quick, I'm going to pause. Okay, so Scripture does tell us already that God does not change. You see this in Malachi 3:6. For I, the Lord, do not change. All right, it says very clear that I do not change, God says. Hebrews 13:8 says that Jesus is the same yesterday, today, and forever. So Scripture affirms that God is unchanging. Now, does our understanding of God change? Absolutely. 1 Corinthians 13:12 says, For now we see in a mirror dimly, but then face to face. Now I know in part, then I shall know fully, even as I have been fully known. So yeah, our understanding of God and literally everything is always evolving, is always changing, is always growing, right? But just because we are flawed, just because we are fallible and limited, doesn't mean that God is. God is the same yesterday, today, and forever. He does not change.
How do we distinguish between that, though, at the human level?
How do we distinguish between whether...
Between our transforming understanding of perfection and perfection itself.
Between our...
We can only see through our own lenses.
Presumably a perfect being would be revealing all of these aspects all the time, especially if God's outside of time. I don't know how a God who's outside of time is revealing different things at different times. That just seems like incoherent to me.
So, first off, he's placing his own flawed human limits on God. A perfect God would do this or this or this or this. Okay, according to who? According to you? What makes you the standard of those claims? Why do you get to say that a perfect God would do this or this or this? Okay, why can't a perfect God say what a perfect God can do? So yeah, the question at hand now is how can we distinguish between our understanding and perfection itself? So how do we do that? We test our beliefs against what God has revealed to us in Scripture, because 2 Timothy 3:16 says that all Scripture is breathed out by God and profitable for teaching, for reproof, for correction, and for training in righteousness. All right, now, how can God, he says, he's asking how God, being outside of time, can reveal certain things to us at a certain fixed point in time, okay? That's a good question. Hebrews 1 verses 1 and 2 says this, Long ago at many times and in many ways God spoke to our fathers by the prophets, but in these days he has spoken to us by his Son, whom he appointed the heir of all things, through whom he also created the world. Also, if God is outside of time and also the creator of time, it seems only reasonable that he is able to interact with time in certain points in time. But the key of this verse here is long ago, at many times and in many ways. Okay, God spoke, he did it at many times and in many ways, all right? In fact, God being outside time makes this even more possible because it means he's not limited by time, which means he can choose at any point to do anything, and he has.
Imagine something that's perfect.
Sure.
And complete.
Sure.
Okay, and it's trying to communicate with creatures who are anything but that.
Sure.
Well, they're going to get it wrong.
Sure.
Okay, now wait a sec. Do you blame that on the interpreters or the phenomena itself?
So
like, for example, are you perfect in attending to your conscience?
Hold on. At the point in time when God is literally the one who created us, he could have created us in a way where we would always be receptive to these principles, where we don't have to go, a perfect being doesn't change.
So, okay. So, do you blame the interpreters or do you blame God? Well, 1 Corinthians 2:14 says the natural person does not accept the things of the Spirit of God, for they are folly to him, and he is not able to understand them because they are spiritually discerned. So what this is saying is that we as people do not accept the things of the Spirit of God because these things are foolish to us, and we are not able to understand them because these things are spiritually discerned. So now why didn't God make it to where we just understand these principles completely? Well, Ecclesiastes 3:11, he has made everything beautiful in its time. Also, he has put eternity into man's heart, yet so that he cannot find out what God has done from the beginning to the end. God has created everything beautiful in its time. He has created everything with a purpose. Nothing is beyond God. He has put eternity into our hearts. Proverbs 25:2 says that it is the glory of God to conceal things, but the glory of kings is to search things out. The reason God hides things is so that we pursue these things, so that we pursue Him. If something is hidden, we will seek it out. But if we know everything, then we have no need. 2 Corinthians 3:18 says that, and we all, with unveiled face, beholding the glory of the Lord, are being transformed into the same image from one degree of glory to another. For this comes from the Lord, who is the Spirit. If God simply downloaded everything that we needed to know and put it right in us, well, we would miss the whole transformation of character. That formation of character happens in the process of searching for truth and in the process of wrestling with truth. Long story short, though, all of these things ultimately point to the glory of God. So, all glory to Him. God bless.